Welcome back, travelers, to Legendary Lore, where today we are finally going to finish the Capenna story, hopefully. We're going to find out right now. So, basically, Elspeth, Giada, and Vivian are running away. Elspeth has a sword. Doesn't really do much. It's just a nice little rapier kind of thing. But now they're at a warehouse. It seems abandoned. They look like they're probably safe. It's Giada, Vivian, and Elspeth. And Giada looks exhausted. First of all, the fact that she created Halo out of nothing. And, of course, the fact that she has been running this entire time when she's used to dancing and mostly sitting and being told to be quiet. So basically, Elspeth is there and they're like, okay, look, we're resting right here. Should be fine. Giada's way too tired. I don't think we can keep going. And Vivian's like, okay, I'll check the perimeter. And she's like, watch out for the raccoon folk. They live in an alley nearby. Just keep an eye out for them. And so Vivian goes, she starts looking around. And while that's happening, Giada looks at her and says, Elspeth, I'm scared. What if I'm not enough? What if I can't help New Capenna? Can my magic really be enough? What happens when it runs out? I don't know how much more I have to give, and I don't really know if it'll make a difference if I try. The city is so broken. And then she says that, it's as if all of the things that had been eating away at Giada finally had come up. They finally were free. She felt like she could ask these questions. And it's cool because, again, this is kind of retroactive, but it says each question colored one of their past interactions in a new light, tainted it with a shade of fear that Elspeth had seen in Giada, but had never understood until this moment. So there's like a lot of moments where she had seen Giada upset or downtrodden and stuff like that. But that moment just now revealed what it is that she felt, that she wasn't enough. And this idea of having to be a savior resonates with Elspeth because that's kind of been Elspeth's whole shtick this entire time. And she says, looking at her, it says right here, she wondered if this was how Johnny felt all those times she had gone to him in search of answers she knew deep down he didn't have. She wondered if Giada would resent her for her answers as much as she had resented her dear friend in those long ago moments. And she says, you're right. New Capenna is broken. And Halo is a flimsy bandage on the wounds of this city. And it's during this moment that she realizes that what Johnny had told her before, real peace, real prosperity comes from within. That was the moment where she kind of begins to resonate with that. And that it would have to address the demons that literally built the city and the figurative ones that still haunt the streets before they can have any opportunity of fixing things. And she says, so what do I do then? I want a purpose. And it's all the things that Elspeth had been experiencing, Giada's throwing them right back at her, asking her for the answers. And she says, I can't give them to you. No one can. They have to come from you. But I'll tell you this, you will have the opportunity to find those answers for yourself. You will find your purpose. And I will personally ensure you are safe to take the time you need to do so, however long that is. And she swears it. She swears to Giada that she will find her purpose. And then Elspeth wakes up after they went to sleep there because Vivian had come back after deciding, okay, there's no signs of life anywhere around us. They wake up because the Cabaretti attack. They found them. They were able to track them down. And it says, like, Giada gets up because she doesn't want Elspeth and Vivian to get hurt. She goes up to her and she's like, look, I'm right here. Are we going to go back to the Vantaleon? And she's like, no, we're not. We're going to France. No family wants to see the adversary take New Capenna for his own. And now that the font is secure once more, we have a bargaining chip to make sure the others will work with us. And so basically, Elspeth just hears the font, bargaining chip. She doesn't refer to Giada as Giada. She refers to her as something like something that can be used. And that's the main problem that Elspeth gets from this, is that she's being used as a tool. She's not a person. And Giada is basically, she just takes Ginny's hand, and Giada looks at Elspeth just really upset. Elspeth and Vivian are both like shackled, essentially. and they know that it's there's no way that she can stop it. So Elspeth and Vivian, they're going to be taken to Jetmir to be judged as traitors to the Cabaretti, and they're going to take Giada. And so they're going through the sewers now. They're on their way through, and as they get to a certain point, they get to an Obscura hideout. And so it says, Elspeth's heart began to race. You were at the crescendo, the maestros, Cabaretti, and Riveteers. Every family was infiltrated. This could be a trap. And she says, well, unlike you, some are actually loyal. And when they get there, they see Camille. You may recall Camille being from the Obscura story. And Camille tells her, Jetmir is stable. He's ailing, but he's stable. And so basically they come in to Camille's little like warehouse deal, and they're like, these right here, they're traitors. They're the ones who took the font. Jetmir will know how to deal with them. And so they go in and they see there's a crystal ball, there's a deck of cards. It's Obscura, right? And Jetmir's happy because obviously he sees it. And Ginny goes over to him like, are you okay? All this stuff. He goes, you worry too much. And so they take Giada and they have her go through, and she takes out some like of her halo powers and she heals Jetmir. And so all this is happening. It says both the doors that they had entered through and the back door were rammed open at the same time, revealing a dozen brawlers in aprons and heavy workers' clothing. Chaos erupted. Rivetier traitors. And so Vivian, she balls both hands into fists and spins towards the man still holding her bow, arms straight like a battering ram to strike him clean across the face. Her bow dropped to the floor and she scoops it up. Then Elspeth, for the first time that I can recall, she's probably done it a few times in the past, but she uses magic. We never see Elspeth use magic. She's always just battling things.
Yeah.
Like even the idea of her getting 3 tokens for you with her son's champion, that's her getting 3 friends to show up because she's really inspirational. Or her destroying all these big creatures. She's a monster slayer. She's
a one-man army.
Yeah. She's the one going around doing all that. We never see her magic, but here her magic is essentially just disenchanting some shackles. And so she gets her and
she's very white.
Yeah, exactly.
Personality-wise, she needs a second color by this point because she's not acting very mono-white. But
the thing is, what color would you add?
She's been very ambiguous. It's like you can see she's not mono-white, but like, what is she?
That's the thing, though. She still, everything she does fits with white and stuff like that. She's seeking out a code, essentially, at that point. Anyways, we have Giada, because obviously Elspeth wants to save her. And so through all this catastrophe and this craziness and maestro assassins and riveter brawlers showing up, they're able to get away. And so it describes how Elspeth is able to get like through this fight. She uses her sword. She's able to do everything. She, for a moment, thinks that she's not going to be able to protect her, and that it's all basically for nothing. And it says a familiar pair of dark eyes looked on worriedly. And she goes, Giada, and she goes, take this. So she just thrusts something into Elspeth's mouth, leaving her no choice to follow. Basically, she just created a bunch of halo and shoved it into Elspeth's mouth. And
Elspeth's like, did you wash your hands?
And so what's crazy is this is Giada, you're radiant. And she's like, you see it too. And she's like, and she doesn't have a chance to ask what it is. But she's talking about basically the halo-like aura around Giada. And Camille is like, let's go. and Ginny grabs Giada and says, don't help them. We have to flee.
What side is Camille on here?
Camille is on the side of Ginny because Camille does not want everything to fall apart.
Okay.
It's very chaotic. There's a lot of stuff going on. You see a whole bunch of people from different groups showing up, riveters and maestros cutting through everything. And if you think about it, it makes sense that riveters and maestros would have the most people infiltrated by the adversary because they're the two that have red-black. So it's funny because Ginny does not want to take Elspeth, but she says, fine, you're too good in a scrap. Keep up and don't try anything funny. And so they leave, And they like go through all these different things. And Vivian says, how did you know they're not compromised? And Camille is like, I don't. That's why we need to keep moving. And so they are going to Park Heights, the main Obscura stronghold, the Cloud Spire, because that's the only place that Camille thinks it could be safe. And so as they're going, Giada is basically with Elspeth the entire time because she feels safe with her. And so Giada slowly takes off a bracelet that she was wearing, and she just leaves it on the ground as they're going, because it turns out the most likely there was a tracking spell put onto the bracelet, which is how they were able to find them in that abandoned warehouse despite everything going on. Elspeth then breaks the bracelet under her boot, and Giada and Elspeth try to act like nothing happened. Eventually the passage comes to a dead end, which of course is not, because there's Camille's Obscura. She just opens up a door nearby. Once that happens, they think, yeah, we're pretty much safe, and they realize it's a trap. There's a bunch of Obscura enforcers circling them from behind. There's Obscura everywhere. And Camille is wounded. She's trying to crawl away. It's just all bad. But it turns out that it was because Camille was trying to actually make this trap happen. Ginny just stabbed Camille as a result. And Obscura, of course, are compromised just like everyone else was. There's a fight everywhere, and Elspeth uses the moment to run away with Giada.
Wait, so is Camille working with the adversary too?
Camille, it doesn't say that she was. Most likely she was working for the Obscura, and the Obscura were just going to take the font for themselves, since it was just going to be her and Ginny. So they weren't going to have anyone to really stop them, if that makes sense. So as they flee, obviously they have Vivian also working with them. So the three of them are still trying to find a safe place. And so they're going through the entirety of the park, and they see this antechamber. It's a giant cathedral suspended below angel statues. And they're like, that's gotta be a safe spot, sure. The cathedral is a masterpiece. Countless angel statues line the aisles leading up to the transept. Each had their hands upward, reaching toward the skylights above that highlighted them with a column of sunlight cutting through the relative shadow of the cathedral itself. And so she notices that the statues have a glow to them, just like Giada. And as it's happening, they also, as Giada says, do you hear it? And she says, I do. It's a chorus that is resonating from every statue. And it's at this point that Elspeth's like, what is it? And Giada says, it's her family, her home. When she said home, Elspeth felt it. She felt that she felt that moment. And she shares a long stare with Giada, who's just smiling, finally. And she radiated like the angels of the cathedral. Her very form seemed to belong here. And Elspeth's like, it's home. And Johnny had been right. Home had never been about place. And for the first time, she felt like she had found somewhere she belonged. She had found purpose, someone and something to believe in and defend. But of course, a low rumbling fills the cathedral and interrupts the song that was playing, followed by thunderous steps. And she turns and she sees a hulking, horned man. 2 wings of membrane, the color of old blood, stretched behind him, the adversary. Did you really think you could escape me? And Vivian's like, good of you to show yourself, Obnixilis. And already starts shooting arrows at him. And Obnixilis, being Obnixilis, just punches the wolf that comes out of it and dissipates it. But Vivian's already shooting more arrows, but it doesn't matter. Because
they all caught these hands.
Yeah, exactly. And Elspeth's holding onto her sword. And it's cool because Vivian even says, take care of him, I'll deal with the rest. Be careful, he's like us. So she's warning Elspeth. Obnixilis is a planeswalker. Obviously, Elspeth most likely wouldn't know about this because she's been dead for a while. And Obnixilis was during the whole Gatewatch deal, and really he was known by a lot of people during the whole War of the Spark, where he helped Davriel and Tybalt. Mm-hmm. So,
I like that team. No, after knowing the Children of the Nameless story, Davriel was probably just like, demons. I'll pair with these guys.
Yeah, pretty much. He's like, these
You guys want to
are
make deals?
He takes out like a pen. He's like, I have some ideas. And Omnix just growls at Vivian and says, run, play with my agents until I'm ready to torment you. Like, Obnixilis, he thinks he's already won. He shows up and he even says, you thought you could best me? I'll show you what happens to people who dare contradict me, who even think of getting in the way of my power. Once the font is in my possession, I'll end you both, one at a time, slowly. And so what follows is Elspeth trying to fight a demon. And he is so much faster than she is, and so much stronger. And he just says, I'm going to enjoy destroying you.
Wow.
And he's just wailing on her. And nothing she does matters. And Elspeth is on the ground, and she's like, Giada, run. And she knows there's nowhere to run. This was it. This was the end of the line. First you, then the font, then the other planeswalker. And then nothing will stop me. And Elspeth is again saying, run, get away, run.
You goon.
And what's crazy is it says, don't fear for me any longer, Elspeth, Giada. There is more for me out there. I am going to be with my family now. Giada's found it. Giada's found her home. And so she goes to Elspeth's side and kneels. And it says she was more of an outline of shimmering magic than a physical being. And Giada's words ignite something within her. She thinks of Daxos and Ajani when she thinks of family. And Obnixilis is like, what are you doing?
That's cheating.
Yeah, pretty much. And basically, Giada says that she's ready. And light fills the room. It shoots out in every direction from her body. The force of the blast strong enough to throw Obnixilis away. And Elspeth looks in awe as Giada is transformed into Halo. There's actually an elemental that shows up. I think it's something about emancipation as an avatar. It's the one that destroys 3 permanents when it comes in. That artwork is supposed to show Giada as she explodes with this energy.
Oh.
That's why it makes 3 angel tokens. We'll get more into that soon.
Makes 3 Giadas.
And so Elspeth breathes in the halo. And she allows the halo to just flush her, basically. And she can hear the singing and the crescendos. And as the light begins to fade, Elspeth sits up and Obnixilis groans. And Vivian's still outside dealing with all the goons. And Elspeth, she hears Giada's voice as part of the chorus. She's fading in, but like fading into it as opposed to fading away. End this. Protect New Capenna. You have the weapon you need. It's been at your side all along, following you, waiting until you're ready enough. And she's like, I'm not strong enough. And she's like, does the whole get up, you have family and home and friendship and the power of love. And so Elspeth gets up and her pommel of her sword, that normal rapier, is now filled up with halo. Because the sword she picked up just happened to be the sword meant to defend New Capenna. And so she lunges forward at Obnixilis, and Obnixilis barely dodges it. And he raises up a hand and pointed it at her. And she could feel the magic collecting in the air and is barely able to avoid the shot. And so basically she's fueled by halo and basically these angelic powers. And
so basically she went Super Saiyan and is now having a Dragon Ball Z fight with Obnixilis.
It's basically a spirit bomb. And Obnixilis is just getting more and more frustrated because every time he tries to kill her, she refuses. And then she's actually able to slash at him in such a way that the blade digs into his neck. And Obnixilis gasps with shock, and it just makes it worse. And he just starts doing this, and it's still just bleeding profusely from his neck wound. And he staggers backwards. And everything starts to distort around him and then fold in on itself. And he planeswalks away. And she goes outside and she sees Vivian. And she sees that all of them have been knocked out as well. And they say, Giada saved us, but our Nicholas got away, and this isn't over. The epilogue of the story takes place at the museum with Angelo, the new leader of the Maestros.
Hello.
And he says, he's like, I've been expecting you, Elspeth. And she's like, expecting me? He goes, yes. I found this stitched in my coat on the night of the crescendo. As soon as I read it, I came straight back, but I was already too late, though it spared me from the bloodbath in the Vantolium. So Angelo actually left before everything went old Costa Rica, but he was too late to actually get back and save Xander. And it's basically just Xander's last words. I thank you for your years of obedient service, Angelo. You are as good a man as you are an assassin, but my friend, I fear this will be where we part. The Maestros are now in your hands, and I trust that after the long night ahead, you will help them usher in a new era. Everything I've collected over the years should serve you well. Make our family your own as you see fit. It is well past time for the guiding vision of a younger leader. Finally, should she survive the night ahead, which I have little doubt she will, Elspeth will come seeking my archives. Give her access and try not to ask too many questions. For one last time, yours, Xander. Xander's such a cool character, and they kill him. And so, classy till the end, basically, she, Elspeth has access to all the archives. And so now she has all the histories of Capenna hidden in Xander's office that are for her now. And so she knows that she can just start going through and finding out all that she wants to. And that's basically how the story ends. It kind of just wraps everything up real quickly. We don't even get to see Urbrask at the end of it. We just know that they're looking into all these different ways of trying to stop things. And what's cool is Vivian, we do get this mention. It says on New Phyrexia might give us the window we need to stop them, the revolution. And it says to stop her, the porcelain rictus of the Grand Cenobite. Her former prison in the Phyrexian capital loomed large in Elspeth's memory. And walking away from New Capenna meant heading once more into that metallic hell. Koth, Malira, Karn. Going back meant facing her nightmares. It meant another battle, another war. And of course, Elspeth wasn't part of the War of the Spark, but she's been part of plenty of wars. And so they decide they're going to go back to Dominaria to go talk to Ajani and find out what's going on there. Now, while that's where the story ends, the cards revealed what happened after Elspeth left. That's why there's angels. Giada's actions in that moment where she exploded into energy created a wave, a ripple effect that woke up the angels and broke them out of their concrete prisons. Because every angel statue was actually an angel.
Oh, so this is a whole new era.
Exactly. It's an entirely new deal, and we have no idea what's going to happen. We know there's Esper angels. We know that there are Bant angels because we've seen them. We also know there are mono black angels too.
It's a whole new place with a brand new attitude.
But
Still got to cast them all.
Ooh, nice. And be the best that you can be. But yeah, that was this story. Giada died, sacrificing herself to make all the angels possible. And now we've got a whole new setup of everything else going on. We don't know if Ginny's dead because she was the last thing we saw with her was she was surrounded by Obscura.
We don't know if Camisa's dead because she got stabbed horrendously.
That's right. So we got a bunch of stuff going on. We don't really know what's going to happen.
We don't know how Angelo is going to take the Maestros because he's a deadly assassin, but he's also a family man now. Like,
yeah.
Before the events of this story, he has a family man. He has his marriage or his daughter's marriage to protect. Also,
the Obscura and the Maestro will have to be much more closely tied because his daughter is married to an Obscura.
Angelo may even change colors.
So, with that, thank you guys for watching. Joe, take it away.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to go ahead and catch you guys next time. We're going to have an all-new story. After this, I believe Ricky said we're diving into Dominaria.
Yeah, boy!
Oh, do not miss any of that. Yeah. Leave a like if you like the video, subscribe, and remember, little Timmy is trapped where you're traveling.